Hi everyone, and welcome to the Career Chat Show with me, Yanmo. In the last chat show, I was talking about mentors and how you should have your relationships with your mentors, that you need to reach out to them, you need to review your relationship, and you need to respect and regard your relationship. So a question has come forth, and the question is, how do we go about finding mentors? Well, let me say this, and I said it in the last show, mentors are very, very important in life, and we see that through relationships with people. Warren Buffett is a mentor to Bill Gates. The late Maya Angelou is a mentor to Oprah Winfrey. So people have mentors. Even Bill Gates is a mentor to Mark Zuckerberg. So people have mentors in life. As a believer, we see from scriptures that mentors are important. There was the Ruth-Naomi relationship. There was the Mordecai and Esther relationship. There was Paul and Timothy. There was Moses and Joshua. The list goes on and on and on. There's Elisha and Elijah. The list just goes on. So that tells me that if you don't have a mentor in your life, you are not, I'm not saying you're not going to have a successful life, but you may struggle in certain areas. And this is why mentors are important, because they help you see things, they help you avoid certain pitfalls, like I've said before, and they just help you believe in yourself that you can do better and you can do more. So how do you go about finding these mentors? How do you search them out? Now, if you are in a progressive organization, most organizations or companies tend to have they tend to pair people with mentors, so that's probably an easier route. However, in life you also need mentors. So how do you go about finding mentors? The first thing is you need to desire it. And oftentimes people don't even know that they desire it, but you need to desire it. And I'm going to use the example of Naomi and Ruth and Naomi. So Naomi was going to go back to her country, and Ruth and Orpah were actually on their way going back with her. And then she decided and said, you know what, you ladies should go back. I have nothing to offer you. They cried and they said, no, we're going to go with you. And then as they carried on that journey, she now said, no, go back. And then they cried, and Orpah actually went back, and Ruth said, I'm not going anywhere. I am going to go with you. Where you go, I go. Your people shall be my people. Your God shall be my God. Where you die, I will die. There was something that was inside of Ruth, meaning that she had a strong desire to follow Naomi. She had a strong desire to follow Naomi back to Naomi's country, even though it didn't seem like Naomi had anything to offer. And so there are two things I want to pull out of this. The very first thing is you need to have a strong desire. And the second thing is, do not just look at your mentor in terms of what they have achieved. There are things that they may not have achieved, but they may have wisdom. They may have experience. And that is one of the things that I believe that Naomi had that made Ruth want to follow Naomi. I also believe that it was a destiny relationship as well. So that said, you must have a strong desire. The second thing you need to have in order for you to find a mentor is, what do you want the mentor for? Why do you want the mentor? Do you just want the mentor because of the accolade of, oh, I have a mentor? Why do you want the mentor? What is the role of the mentor in your life? You need to ask yourself this question, because it will determine the kind of relationship you end up having with your mentor. I'm going to give you an example. I have a spiritual mentor, and it took me years, not a lot of years, but it took me at least 2 years before I was able to get to her. But I was very intentional about chasing that relationship. I was very intentional about being a mentee of hers. What did I do? I listened to everything that she put out. I joined every single training that she had going. I actually traveled I live in a place called London. I traveled to a place called Birmingham. When she was having an event, I went there and invested. And when she saw that desire in me, she handpicked me and said, yes, you can now be in my close mentorship. And I have been benefiting from that relationship ever since, in a different way, even though I was benefiting from just, listening to her teachings and her trainings and everything else. So I had a desire, and I knew what I wanted from her. I wanted from that relationship. So that burst a strong desire for me, a strong desire in me, in order for me to pursue that relationship. So what do you want the mentor for? The third thing is, where do you go find them? Depending on what you want the mentor for will determine where you go find them. Right? If you want a spiritual mentor, for example, you're not going to go find them in a nightclub. Right? If you want a life mentor, you're going to think differently based on why you need the mentor. So based on your answer of why you need the mentor, you start to think, where will they be? Where will I find them? I'm a very strong advocate of networking. So even if you want a career mentor, right, and your organization doesn't pair you up with mentors, you can actually go to networking events in your industry or in a different industry, and you start to see what people are doing. Also social media, and why do I say social media? LinkedIn. If you know what you're looking for out of your mentor, there are certain people you're going to see what they do, what they write about, what they're passionate about, what causes that they give themselves to, and then you can say, okay, if this person is speaking at this event, or if this person is going to be attending this event, I'm going to go put myself there. Now, it doesn't mean that when you meet them, you're going to ask them, I want you to be my mentor. It doesn't work like that. You need to build a relationship with that person over a period of time. Now, you can ask, there's nothing wrong with that, right? If you want the cookie, you should ask for it. There's nothing wrong with that. However, it's always best to build some form of relationship with the person before you ask them to be your mentor. Okay, so based on why you want the mentor will determine where you go find them. And how you position yourself is very, very important. This goes back to the respect and the regard, because if you position yourself as, I just want to take everything from you, I just want to take everything that you have, that's not going to work very, very well. So you need to think about how you position yourself, because let me tell you, in the mentor-mentee relationship, you also, as a mentee, you're also adding value to your mentor. You're also adding value to your mentor. But how do you position yourself? Position yourself as somebody that is teachable. Position yourself as somebody that also has something to bring to the table, but not in a braggadocious way and not in a proud way. Then the last thing is, you need to ensure that the relationship flows. So when you find this mentor, ensure that you're flowing in that relationship with them. Now, so how do you find a mentor? You find a mentor based on your desire. You find a mentor based on what you want the mentor for, where you go to find the mentor, how you start to build rapport with the mentor. And if the mentor, if you contact the mentor once or twice and the person doesn't reach out to you, or the person isn't forthcoming, then let it be. Honestly, let it be. Don't force it. Right? Mentors are extremely busy people, and they have quite a number of people that they're mentoring, right? So another way as well is, there's some people that have paid mentorship groups. You want to go pay and to be in those mentorship groups. Like I said, you have to know what you're getting out of it, right? Some of them are scams, but do your due diligence to ensure that you're not being scammed and your money isn't going to be taken off you. But those are just easy ways of you to find a mentor. And if there's someone that you find that particularly you're interested in what they do, make sure that a lot of the things that they do, you're involved in. If they have an event, turn up. If they're speaking somewhere, go to the event as much as possible. So you start being in their radar. Right? That was how I got my spiritual mentor to get me into her close mentorship, and I don't regret it. I'm all the better for it. So I hope that's been very helpful. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Hit the link below, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next show. Until next time, keep smiling and God bless you. Bye.